In today's video,
most of you guys who act like you're experts in animation tried it once and made like 3 frames last 5 seconds on loop and you think you're like amazing. Just because you've drawn a picture once does not make you an animation expert. And most of these people who act like they are have never tried to animate. The vast majority of anime consumers have zero.
That's what I want them to put all their eggs in the basket for. Rather than little talkative scenes. That's boring to me, so go ahead and not do that. Look, I want everyone to...
Okay, so Moist Critical just released a video talking about One Punch Man Season 3. I watched it real quick, and he made some major points that I felt like I really had to make a video talking about, because he's kind of jumping on this hate bandwagon for One Punch Man, and a lot of it, I think, is justifiable criticism, but a lot of it just comes from a lack of information. And he even talks about that at a little bit at the end of the video, like he's not sure if it's Bandai or JC staff or what's going on. So I'm going to try and use this opportunity to respond to some of his points and fill you guys in.
Video with the hope that I am extremely wrong here, and in a few weeks we can all look back and point and laugh at how off I was. Like, I want this...
By the way, he's making a point already that people are criticizing very quickly, and he's hoping that he's wrong with this criticism. Well, if you're hoping you're wrong with the criticism, why not just wait a few more episodes to see if you're wrong? Like, is it necessary to make this video because there was a couple still shots in the season? There's still 10 episodes to go. All the major fights are to come. We haven't even gotten into like the real meat of the season yet. So I feel like even just making a video talking about this season in its entirety is already quite hasty, but let's see what he says.
This video to age horribly, but with my hand on a stack of Bibles, I don't think it will. One Punch Man Season 3 has started. 2 episodes are out. The second one just aired. And you can probably still see my eyes are a bit red from the tears that I shed watching it and rubbing them away. Not because I witnessed peak, but because I witnessed pee. Actual waste.
Come on, dude. It's not pee, okay? It's better than season 2. There's a the sliding down the hill was bad. The opening of the episode is like 20 seconds of still frame. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But like, it doesn't negate all the good in the episode. Like, I don't understand why people think because there's like maybe 30 seconds of bad footage in a 20-minute episode, it makes the entire thing bad. It's to me, this kind of just feels like ignorance from someone who has never physically created anime themselves or animation in the first place. Because if you're trying to create like an animated production, you never get to release it at 100% satisfaction. Ask literally any director of any animation if they've ever been able to have the time and the resources to be able to release their episodes at 100% satisfaction. A real anime producer will tell you it's more like 70%. Your schedule is restricted, your resources are limited, and one of the major concerns about this season so far is that the pacing is really bad, and I think that that's actually a very justifiable criticism, probably the most justifiable criticism, because they needed to get through to a certain point so that I guess Saitama can fight the Monster King Orochi at the end of the season. So they had to figure out how can we get through all of these chapters so that that's the final fight. They had to skip some things, and so that pacing is definitely off. This is a 100% justifiable criticism on the pacing. Totally agree with that.
It is a beautiful manga that I can't help but sink my teeth into, even knowing full well it will spoil what comes up in the anime. I can't resist. And like I said, it's very uncharacteristic of me to do that. Typically the manga I read is on things that don't have real anime adaptations, like Berserk. Lord help us. It is so sad. Bit of a tangent. Berserk is an actual masterpiece of a series, which I'm sure all of you have heard before. People gushing grannies over Berserk.
Dude, I love Berserk. I grew up on Berserk. And he's totally right here. They dropped the ball on Berserk, and it's one of the most beloved series, and it just cannot get a real anime adaptation, with the exception of the movies. The movies were phenomenal. I wish they would finish the whole series in movies, but they did 3 movies for Berserk, and every single one was godly, in my opinion. Godly.
For a good reason.
But for whatever reason, they cannot get a Berserk anime that is good. It's like a curse.
It is a sin that it doesn't get a true, real anime adaptation past what they already did in the 90s. What happened in 2016, which we don't need to reopen old wounds there, but
Oh yeah, the horrible
But
CGI.
I don't want to get too lost in the
bad,
sauce.
dude.
Point is, I don't typically read manga for things that have an anime. One Punch Man is the exception because I absolutely love the characters and the world there. Anyway, though, One Punch Man Season 1, I think, is one of the best seasons of anime ever produced. And throughout streams, people will often ask, I've never checked out anime, what should I start with? And like clockwork, I will always recommend One Punch Man Season 1 as an entry point to the medium. I think it is just so well done. From its pacing to its beautiful, breathtaking animation, unbelievable animation, the fights are incredible, but also just the character work is executed so well in Season 1. It is extremely good. It is extraordinary.
Okay, so I don't think Charlie knows, maybe he does, but he doesn't really appear to understand or explain why Season 1 is so good. And most people don't understand, but there actually is a lot of really good detailed videos on YouTube. You can just type in, why was One Punch Man Season 1 so good? And a lot of really good videos will come up. But the long story short is they had a literal dream team of animators and director come together to create this season. They didn't even have a big budget, but to them, it was kind of like just an event to get this dream team together to create the best thing that they could possibly create and have fun with it. And there's even descriptions like it felt like a festival in the animation studio. Like these guys were some of the best in the world, all working together, having fun with it. And they had a blast, and they did, of course, and it was done by Madhouse too, which has some of the best like compositing work. So yeah, it was beautiful. Everything about Season 1 was great, but they had like Yutaka Nakamura. They had this dream team working on it. And the reason that they don't have Yutaka Nakamura, he's working on My Hero Academia now and some other things. He did work on Season 1. Shin Nagai, the director, even talked about this briefly and what he said on Twitter. And what he was saying is JC Staff is a small studio with a small budget. It's very hard for them to recruit top talent. The top talent is always recruited by the big studios that pay the most and have the top anime.
And Season 2 rolled around, and it was a bit of a wet fart. That one was very disappointing to me, and I know a lot of people don't like my take on it, but I mean, it's how I feel about it. I think
the main issue with Season 2 was that it was such a stark jump from Season 1. You go from literal dream team of animation to a small studio who doesn't really do much action anime, and they're taking a shot at a huge property. And so the biggest issue here, and I have to make this whole video on this, on animation ignorance, because people are so quick to blame the studio, but they don't realize the reason JC Staff got the property in the first place is because the production committee doesn't want to spend money on it. You guys are focusing all of your anger, which should be at the production committee. Instead, you're focusing it at JC Staff. And even Vincent Chansard, one of the top animators in the world, said this recently, and I quote retweeted it on X. The production committee is a group of rich guys who say, hey, we're going to put our money together and we're going to get a season of anime made because we want to make money off of it. So let's say they put together something like $3 million for a season. And they ask all the studios, hey, does anybody want to do One Punch Man Season 3 for $3 million? All the big studios are going to say, no, that's too little money. That's only $250,000 an episode. We need something more like $750,000 or $1 million per episode so that we can do the justice it deserves. And then the production committee says, no, we don't want to spend that kind of money. People are going to like it no matter what. Let's see if any of the other studios will take the job for $3 million. JC Staff raises their hand. They're like, hey, we'll take it. We're a small studio. We're trying to make a name for ourselves. We'll do it for practically free just so we can get our name on the board. And that's what happens. And everybody blames JC Staff, but they're probably the only studio that offered to take it. Do you understand? The real issue is the Bandai, the license holders, and the production committee. They need to put forth more money and get a top tier studio to actually do it justice, but they're being cheap. The director of One Punch Man Season 3 is like literally like on his deathbed. He has the entire weight of the world, like literally breaking him in half, the poor guy. He took on one of the most literally impossible tasks, and he's taking all the hate for it, and it's misguided ignorance. And honestly, it pisses me off that people are so quick to blame the studio and these hardworking people. Most of you guys who act like you're experts in animation tried it once and made like 3 frames last 5 seconds on loop, and you think you're like amazing. Just because you've drawn a picture once does not make you an animation expert. And most of these people who act like they have never tried to animate. The vast majority of anime consumers have zero idea how animation is made. I'm talking about they think you put a magical cap on and you just think about what the scene is going to look like and then the computer prints it out. I mean, that's what they literally think. They don't understand that like it takes an entire weekend just to have someone's cape flap. They don't get it. And they won't get it because they refuse to learn the process. That's the biggest issue. People do not want to sit and learn the animation process, so they judge what they're viewing with ignorance. They want to watch the final product. They absolutely want to watch it, but as soon as someone starts explaining how it's made, it's like their brain turns off. They don't have the attention span to learn the process. So when they witness a bad episode or episode that isn't like 10 out of 10 perfect, they don't understand it. They think every single episode of any anime ever should be movie quality. Everything should be sakuga. Every character's hair should be flowing, clothes and capes flowing, and every single scene should be 1,000% perfect. You have never tried to create one scene that is perfect. Like don't criticize it until you at least try it. And I mean, at least that's from my perspective, how I feel, because it's not like, yes, you can't criticize it because you're not an animator. Like, I understand, but I feel like there's such little validity to people's arguments because they come at it from a place of ignorance. And you really don't see animators trashing these anime. You see people who have never animated trashing the anime. Because once you learn how to animate, you notice all the subtle work that goes into every single scene that these people's brains quickly and eagerly just consume and then fart out their ass without even registering what they just witnessed. Animation in general is an optical illusion. Every single instant that you're witnessing, 24 instants a second, can be a completely different drawing that has a tremendous amount of love and attention to detail put into it. 24 pictures a second. In most cases, it's 12. Have you ever tried to create 1 second of real animation? No. None of these people have.
It is just such a huge step down, not only in the obvious decline in animation quality. It's a different studio. It's JC staff that took it over, which doesn't typically do something like One Punch Man, and they did not a great job. Season 2 did not have the greatest animation. It was no longer fluid. It had some really wonky CG in there, and it just wasn't as great as Season 1. So when it was announced that Season 3 of One Punch Man was once again going to be that same studio, I was immediately sad, but I tried to remain optimistic that maybe this time, given more time to cook, they could deliver something better. And now that we're 2 episodes in, they're delivering something even worse. It is actually even worse.
Okay,
Season
come
2
on. See, this is BS, dude. He's just jumping on the bandwagon. It's not worse than Season 2. It is phenomenally better than Season 2. The compositing looks very similar to Season 1. The art direction is beautiful. What you're really upset at is that there was like maybe 30 seconds of no movement on the screen out of the whole episode, and that makes you think the whole season is worse than Season 2. I just think that's like incredibly ignorant to even say. I mean, especially when there's 10 episodes to go and we haven't seen any of the major fights yet.
Not dubbed by the fans One Frame Man because there's so little animation. A lot of the times you're watching still images, basically just manga panels and a PowerPoint. Season 3 is even worse so far. I shit you not, in the latest episode, episode 2, there is 2 separate scenes where it is a still image with the slowest panning camera imaginable. I actually thought my TV froze. And it goes on for like 20 seconds. Like, it lingers for 20 seconds on just a still frame and some...
He's talking about the beginning, which I agree with him here. I definitely felt the same thing. I mean, there's no movement. There's like not even mouth flaps, which is a little weird. But dude, honestly, if you go back and watch like Dragon Ball Z, you would be blown away by how many PowerPoint presentations there are. Like 90% of the damn show is just still images. But back then we loved it. But now because it's 2025, people don't like that anymore. You guys loved it when it was Dragon Ball Z, right? But now, because you're so used to and accustomed these top tier studios literally like working their animators like slaves to produce some of the best animation we've ever seen, now the expectation is that every anime should be like that. But no, it doesn't have to. It's okay to pan a still frame, guys. Not every single thing has to be the most godly animation you've ever seen. If you tried to do that, you would never finish your product. Okay, period. 70% satisfaction should be like the bare minimum for a director. And I'm sure the team like watches these episodes and they're probably like, yeah, we could have did a little bit more there and a little bit more there. But there's constraints with their schedule and their resources.
And it's just inexcusable. How can something as good as the One Punch Man property get this treatment? It's incomprehensible to me. It's just insulting, especially considering some of like the most slop trash manga is getting beautiful anime adaptations. Like these actual nothing burger properties you've never heard of that are just actual garbage, bottom of the barrel slop. Like last winter, the Wizard Lord transmogrified me into a paperclip and whisked me away to Vampireville, where all of these vampire babes shove.
It's true, man. I have seen that. Like, there's a new anime adaptation for Fist of the North Star, and it's like this dog crap CGI. And I remember reading this hilarious like quote tweet, and the guy's like, the most random obscure anime you've never heard of will have godly animation, but then they bring out like one of the greatest titles of all time, and they give it like robot looking CGI, and it's just like the worst CGI garbage you've ever seen, and you're just like, why? Berserk, Fist of the North Star? Like, again, it's the production committees
me up their ass and tasked me with defeating the Demon Lord. And it's like, who even knows what that is? And then the anime rolls out and it's breathtaking. Like, why does that kind of garbage get that kind of passionate studio treatment, but something like One Punch Man, beloved, gets JC staff spitting in our face? I don't understand.
I mean, one of the reasons for that is like action anime is a little bit harder. The action Sakuga scenes take a crap ton of resources to do. There wasn't like a lot of Sakuga in these first two episodes, though. I mean, this is a pretty valid point. I think it really comes down to the fact that like JC Staff is still just a small amateur studio, and the main point is Bandai should have spent more money on it.
Stand it.
Should have hired a better
I don't think
studio.
They're doing it on purpose. I just don't think this is the kind of studio that can.
But they should have hired a better. Yeah, he's right. They should have hired a better studio that can handle a top tier action anime. But if it's the only studio that will do it for so little money, then I'll take this over nothing. And I think people need to have that concept in mind. Would you rather have this or nothing? I'd rather have this.
Do One Punch Man justice. They already proved they couldn't with season 2, yet they're hopping back on the saddle again with season 3 just to prove people even more right that they just can't do it. So why did they even get...
Okay, because they want to prove themselves, dude. Like, so it's hard to compete with the big studios. If they get offered the chance to take a major title and turn their studio into this tiny little amateur, no one's heard of studio into one of the big names, this is their opportunity as a business owner, as a creator, as anyone creative. If you get an opportunity to step up on the main stage, you're going to say no? I mean, so they're putting their reputation on the line. You got to take your one shot, you know? And if you don't, then the opportunity misses you. This may be their only opportunity. And so I mean, if I was in JC Staff, I would have done the same thing. I would have taken it. It's unfortunate that they have to take all of the blame, but I totally understand as a business that's striving to grow, like they need a big title and they need to prove themselves. Bandai should have just paid more money, dude. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
This work again. It doesn't make sense. These 2 episodes have been abominable. Like, they are not good. Even outside of the obvious lack of animation,
Dude, episode 2 was pretty good. Okay. There was a lot of animation in it. It's just, people are so negative, man. It's like, there was so much good things to say about this episode because there was like 2 or 3 wonky scenes they threw out the whole episode. Like, I just feel like that's nitpicky, honestly. Like, I like to see if the good outweighs the bad. And I totally feel like the good outweighed the bad here in this episode. It's like, but because a couple scenes didn't have movement,
you're not really seeing anything move. Now, in the last episode here, at the very end, it's gearing up for a fight. And there is a little bit of movement at the very end there, which is why I'm making this video.
Dude, a little bit of movement? Like, do you have any idea how hard it is to animate this kind of stuff, especially slow motion? Like, see, like this is my issue, is that even though Charlie has, well, I don't think he created the animations himself, but he has a lot of animations on his channel that like a studio has done for him, for his projects. And it perturbs me a little bit that he's so ignorant to the process.
And there is a little bit of movement at the very end there, which is why I'm making this video now.
So yeah, he's totally wrong about this. To call Sakuga, especially by Aoki, to call it a little bit of movement. I mean, what are you guys expecting, dude? Like, you guys expect movie quality now in regular anime episodes, and that's the problem, because it's very rare to get. You might get that in like final seasons of anime. Attack on Titan, Bleach, My Hero Academia, all are pretty much. Man, they got some movie quality grade for their final seasons, but that's a final season. Not every episode was like that. I could go back to any anime ever, throughout the entirety of anime ever, and find scenes that are slow PNGs moving and panning out tweens. Every anime does it, dude. People are just picking on One Punch Man to pick on it, to join this hate train.
Because I believe that in the next episode, it's going to follow the season 2 formula where that fight is mainly going to be...
Yeah, I believe... Dude... The first trailer we got is pure animation of Garo fighting Bug God and Royal Ripper. It's literally like 30 seconds straight of Sakuga. You're talking like this. I mean, Charlie, I like you, man, but like you really are just uninformed, dude.
Impact frames and camera pan, but not actual action or animation. But I'm really, really praying, fingers crossed, I am wrong with that.
You are wrong.
In this episode,
watch the trailer.
I shit you not, there is even a scene where Garo, when he's going down a hill to break up these bullies from picking on this kid, they didn't bother to animate anything there.
This is true.
To have him go down the hill, they took Garo, that still image of Garo, and just moved it down. Literally panned him down with no animation at all. It is bad. So janky. It is so gross looking. Now, I've read really a lot of conflicting things about why this is in the state that it is. Apparently, like, there was a bunch of back and forth on who was going to get season 3, and it ultimately ended up in the hands of JC Staff, but it took...
Yeah, there was a rumor that I think that Mappa was going to take it, and then that rumor fell through, and like, oh, it's JC Staff again, and everybody was like, what are you talking about? We thought we were going to get Bones or Wit or Mappa or something.
Like a prolonged period of time, so they didn't have a lot of time to get in the laboratory and work on something.
No, they had time. They had 3 years. They had plenty of time.
Thing of high quality here, so this is what they shot out. I don't really think that's an excuse, to be honest. Like, change in that case where scheduling is better, or like extend the deadline instead of just like pump out whatever just to, you know, slap it on screen and ship it when it's clearly not in a state for that. This looks so undercooked. It is just half-baked. And to be honest, at this point, I'm not even sure if my anger is misplaced.
I really wish he would like learn how to animate and just try to learn for like a week. Just try to make like a 1 minute animation. Just try. And then do the coloring, do the compositing, do the background work, do the effects, do the SFX, VFX, do all that stuff just by yourself. Just try to make a 1 minute animation just to say you've done something. So, because I really think it will help you a great deal understand more about what you're talking about right now. Because I think, honestly, as much as I like Charlie and I agree with a lot of his takes, I feel like this video is very, very ignorant
on JC Staff, or if it really is just like Bandai refusing to invest real money behind this project.
Thank you. Yes.
They're just so
that's it.
Content with mediocrity. They know this IP is so popular, people will watch.
It's the same thing with Toei and Dragon Ball, dude. Why do you think we don't have a Dragon Ball anime right now? It's the same thing. These people don't want to spend money producing more anime. The anime is probably produced at a loss, honestly, but they make money back through merchandising, through running commercials. If it's a really popular anime and a lot of people are tuning in, they make money on commercials, and through all the merchandise and video games and stuff that they sell as well.
Mediocrity. They know this IP is so popular, people will watch it no matter what. So what's the point in delivering something?
And so, yeah, it's the same thing with Toei. They just don't want to spend the money on making more anime because it's so expensive. It's like $1 million an episode. And if they probably figure, at least the executives, look, if we spend $12 million on a new episode, is that going to change our revenue at all? Because we have to recover that $12 million. Well, look, people are still buying our One Punch Man or Dragon Ball products. They're still buying the Dragon Ball video games. You know, if sales aren't slowing down, we really don't have to spend $12 million on another season. That's how they think.
Like, I think that's equally possible as well. Like, maybe they're more to blame than JC staff. Like, maybe they just weren't given enough time or enough resources to make something good. I'm not really sure, but it is just tragic. And I don't think
It's not that
is
bad,
going to
dude.
get better.
It's ridiculous
I actually think it's only going to get worse with the...
It's honestly really ridiculous, like how he's trying to make it seem like the entire thing is a PowerPoint presentation. You had some pretty good animators on there. Yes, the whole thing wasn't Sakuga, but there's some really good scenes, dude. Like, it feels like fake and bad mannered to like kind of trash, like say it's this bad. It's not. It's really not.
Fights based on these first 2 episodes.
Like, objectively, not subjectively, objectively, it's not bad.
Something that all of this is just water under the bridge over the next few weeks as season 3 of One Punch Man continues, and maybe it gets incredible and it just goes ballistic. Maybe they just wanted the first 2 episodes to look like shit as part of a, you know, galaxy brain plot to make people think it's going to be a bad season, but really it's going to be the best season. It's hard copium from me here, but whatever. What happened to the...
Or it's that they invested the vast majority of the resources into the highlight scenes and the animations, the combat, and then they did everything else that was left over after. So they started with the really difficult stuff, made sure that they could do that well. That's why we got the Garo fighting trailer first, and then we got 2 PowerPoint presentation trailers, but we got the animation one first. They probably started with the hardcore animation first to ensure it's going to require the most amount of time. You can't spend your first year or 2, you know, working on the still frames and the talking scenes and then be like, oh wait, we got 1 year left to do all the hardest scenes left, right? God knows how long that could take. So they have to start with that. And then the time they have left over, they'll work on the easier stuff. And if they don't have a lot of time, they're not going to animate it well.
The show I love, man. To see where One Punch Man season 1 was to where this is now, a decade later.
One Punch Man, the quality of One Punch Man season 1 will probably never be able to be replicated by any studio. Okay. It was just magic that you had this. It was perfect timing, perfect group of people to get it done that way. And just because it's 10 years later, I also see this same ignorant excuse. People are like, it's 2025. You have better technology now. Dude, animation is still done the exact same way on pencil and paper, page by page. They flip through it and hand draw. The technology like might help coloring and smoothing lines, but technology really has not changed that much unless they start using AI. They're still producing anime the same way they always have. And so the whole justification that it's 2025, you have better technology, so anime is easier, is completely ignorant and just so stupid. It hurts my brain when people say stuff like that.
It's been a decade, by the way, and this is only the 3rd season, and it looks this bad. It's just... infuriating.
Dude, is this bad? Is this bad? Is this bad? Like, he's being so dramatic and dishonest, man. Like, it's just not good.
It really is. Anyway, though, can't wait for episode 3 here of One Punch Man season 3. Maybe that's the one where it's gonna...
It's also unfortunate that he's like pitching this to like, I don't know how many followers he has, like 20 million, because people are so impressionable. It's like they see a big creator say it's bad, and so many people just jump on and say it's bad. And all those people like don't understand the process. So I think what I'm going to have to do, man, honestly, I'm going to have to make a big video explaining what animation ignorance is, explaining the entire production process as much as I know it won't matter. Like, it won't solve the problem because I've explained this a million times on my channel throughout my career. No matter how much you explain the process to people, it doesn't, like, they don't want to know the process. They just want to watch the finished product and then complain. It's stupid. It's like you're complaining about things you don't even know what you're talking about for the most part. Yes, the PNGs, the still frames for 30 seconds is bad. I agree with you. The sliding down the hill is bad. But to say that episode had no animation and the whole thing was a PowerPoint when there's tons of animation, it's dishonest and it's ingenuine. These guys put in an astronomical amount of work. Nothing's going to compare to season 1. It's pretty good. That's the truth. From someone who actually understands this industry, it's pretty good. It could be better. Obviously, if it was done by one of the top studios like Toei, Period, Bones, Wit, A1, it would probably be better. But is JC staff to blame? Or is it the production committee that decided they didn't want to spend a lot of money on season 3? Who's to blame? I don't think it's JC staff. I think these people, I've really, my heart goes out to them because they're like dangerously overworked. I mean, dangerously overworked. And they're being crushed by the weight of all these ignorant people who don't understand animation. Like millions of people just flocking to Twitter to just shit on them. And it's wrong. And honestly, like Charlie's kind of fanning those flames, which is also wrong. And literally the entire thing comes from ignorance.
I wholeheartedly agree with MaStar. Whether you like him or not, listen, the guy cooked the shit out of Charlie and a lot of other people. You have to understand, as someone who tried to animate and tried to understand how to animate, I kid you not, animation is no fucking joke. I tried to do it again years ago. I was trying to make my first animation. You guys should know that I uploaded it years ago. It was a small, insignificant animation of me doing a run cycle. I barely survived that shit, and I barely know what I'm doing with animation. I don't. And that was 3D, and I think 3D is a lot more simplified than 2D. 2D, it has to be like an instinct. It's something that you're good at doing. When it's me, when it comes down to it, I can't do 2D. You gotta know how to draw every little frame. 3D, you click, point, and it takes hours. Both of them uniquely take hours. However, one is more friendly than the other. And will be like open arms type shit. I feel like a lot of people need to shut the fuck up, personally, when it comes down to like animation. I can't stand when the motherfucker who hasn't animated ever, hasn't done shit for hours and hours, making one little frame just to, you know, do a full-on fucking walk cycle. But you know, ignorance on the internet is the best thing ever. You know, I blocked about 90% of people who keep talking about the animation quality of any anime because I get tired of it. As long as the fight scenes for me are good, that's all I ask for. I'm starting to realize I don't ask too much from these studios because I now understand where they're coming from. I felt the wrath of something that I thought in my head should be simplified, yet, right? Yet, it was extraordinarily hard. I didn't like that. And that was about like 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. I didn't like how the fact that it felt very difficult for me to animate simplified things that I thought I can animate just by thinking about it. Sure, the vision of it came in my head, but it never came to be properly what I was thinking. Animation is very fucking hard and difficult to do. Anyone criticizing or talking shit about animators in general, or JC staff, or wherever the fuck, I don't care what you have to say. I'm just gonna block you. Because for this simple fact that it takes a lot of hard work to do. You don't understand how much hell they have to go through to make ends meet. It is annoying. And your ignorance of that is even more annoying. Now, I understand that everyone wants better animation quality, but I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for the fight scenes to be very good. That's what I want them to put all their eggs in the basket for. Rather than little talkative scenes. That's boring to me. So go ahead and not do that. Look, I want everyone to ignore people talking about One Punch Man. MaStar cooked the shit out of Charlie, and I will say it again. Just like a bunch of these ignorant motherfuckers, they don't understand how this works. They never will either. You know what? How about this? How about you motherfuckers pick up a pen and paper right now? Or start using Blender. It's free. I want you guys to pick up a pen and paper or choose 3D animation and try to animate whatever you want. I double dare you to do it. This is why I can't stand hearing about bad animation this, bad animation that, when I know for a fact it does not matter. Because deep down I know it is what it is. Anyways, guys, fuck all these ignorant motherfuckers. Pick up a pen and paper or do 3D animation and see how it feels. It has nothing to do with JC's staff. We just heard an explanation of what the problem really is. If you're gonna make it up in your head and say it's the animator's fault, it's the production committee, I don't know how to say it, production committee's fault. Go ahead and fuck with them, but don't fuck with the studios and shit. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Hi, I'm Lucy Christian. I am the voice of Ochako Uraraka, and you should subscribe to Neusxanity's channel. Peace out!